Hey guys, it's Chris. From gigantic, crunchy tarantulas to stink bugs that might get their revenge, here are 11 insects that are actually kinda tasty to eat. Number 11. Who likes tarantulas? Some people have them as pets, but they are kind of scary, especially if you find one running around your bathroom. Like insects, spiders are hated and feared by many because of how creepy they can be. But would you be brave enough to eat one? I wouldn't. In many countries, including the Philippines, Thailand, and Cambodia, people are more than willing to cook up tarantulas, one of the most feared spiders in the world, and then just serve them to customers. In fact, in Cambodia, the serving of these spiders are actually considered a national treat among the people, despite the admission that the taste can be rather bland at times. And make no mistake, these are no small spiders. Each tarantula can be the size of the palm of your hand, ensuring a long-lasting meal as you chomp down. The thing that does detract some people from trying it out is that since you are eating all of the tarantula, you're eating its insides, which at times include spider eggs. Surprise! That's a gross surprise. I don't know that I'd be into that, but to those who do try it, they appear to enjoy the meal. Likely because of how it's prepared and the crunchy texture that many people often enjoy. Instead of Cheetos, maybe why not try a tarantula? Number 10. Beetles. Beetles are a very numerous species in the insect world. In fact, there are presently about 1.5 million different species of beetle out there in the world. And so it should come as no surprise that many different cultures all over the world have gone and tried eating one of them, which has led to the beetle being known as a type of delicacy amongst various different cultures. Tribes in the Amazon basin, for example, were and are still known to go and look for beetles under things like rotting logs, and then to chomp down on them to enjoy the rich amounts of protein they provide. If you're curious about which beetles are the most common in terms of being eaten, that would be the longhorned, June, dung, and rhinoceros beetles. It's not just people in South America eating beetles, though. They've been documented to be eaten in places like Africa, Asia, and even North America by some of the Native American tribes. It's even stated that some of the Native Americans would roast the beetles and enjoy them like we would popcorn. Well, might be tasty. A slightly grosser option, perhaps, is that you can also eat a beetle when it's a grub, meaning it's a beetle in its larval stage. These insects are considered quite juicy, a contrast to their adult form where they're very crunchy. You can eat them as they are, or you can roast them over a fire to bring out the flavor. But either way, many survivalists and tribes will note that they're good for protein and other nutrients. What do you think? Yum? Number 9. Butterflies and moths. If you were to picture all the insects that might be tasty or that you might want to try out, butterflies and moths might not be high on your list. This is because when they're fully formed, they don't look very big in terms of their bodies, not including their wings. And as you probably heard, many butterfly species are known to taste really bad or are downright poisonous, which is why predators avoid them. And this is true. However, if you were to go and get the butterflies when they're in their larval and pupal stages, well, that's another story entirely. Because before these insects fully transform into butterflies and moths, they can not only be quite tasty, but they can be full of protein and other nutrients like iron that can help keep your body going, and some regions revere them and feed them to those in need. They're very popular in African countries and are an excellent supplement for children and pregnant women who may be deficient in these nutrients. If you're in South America, one that you should look for is the agave worm, which is revered in the region not only for its health benefits, but is something they actually put into their alcohol at times to prevent certain taste issues. It's known as the mezcal if you wish to try it out. So while it's true that you shouldn't eat a butterfly or moth in its final stages, if you're able to find it before that point, you'd likely be doing your body a favor. Number 8. Scorpions. Scorpions are a specific kind of creature that most people fear for valid reasons. Their stings can hurt a lot, and some of them have venom that can seriously take a person out. And yet, if you go to places like China, Mexico, and other countries that love really exotic foods, and even the United States in the South and Southwest states, you'll likely see a stand that has scorpions for sale. Is this a trick? A method to try and get you sick? Well, no, not at all. Because while scorpions can be deadly when they're alive, they can also be quite delicious when they're cooked properly. There are two main things you need to remember if you're cooking a scorpion. The first is to ensure that you don't taste any poison, should it be one of the venomous variety, and that you take off the stinger. And the second thing is that you cook it. The venom can't stand the heat, so anything that is dangerous within the scorpion will quite literally burn away. This is important because while some venoms won't kill you if ingested, it can activate an allergic reaction if you're not careful. Some have even stated that eating scorpions is a little bit like eating crab because of the shell. Number 7. Grasshoppers and crickets. If you wish to know one of, if not the most eaten insect in the world today, that would be the grasshopper and crickets. Crickets and grasshoppers are actually revered because they're very rich in protein. And this goes beyond the basic if you need to eat something, this is the place to go kind of thing. They're so rich in it that there's stores in the world that sell things like cricket flour that's comprised of a group of insects. It's a very popular item, mainly because of its high protein content. Another factor that makes grasshoppers and crickets so tasty in the eyes of many is that they tend to have a neutral, natural flavor. So what does that mean? Well, it means if you're wanting to experiment with it, you can enjoy the grasshopper or cricket in a variety of ways, and their natural flavor won't mix badly with basically anything. To that end, countries all over the world have dishes mixed with these bugs. There's even a grasshopper curry dish that you can try if you know where to go. And for those that desire a certain sweet quality to their meals, there are certain people who dip their grasshoppers in chocolate before eating them. Those too are sold in stores. The only catch here is that if you're in the wild, you should not eat them as they are. Grasshoppers and crickets have nematodes in them, so if you catch them, you need to cook them before you eat them. Number 6. Locusts. While sometimes compared to grasshoppers, locusts are their own entity, and to many they're seen as a nuisance, even so much as being mentioned as a plague in the Christian Bible. However, to those who have actually tried this insect, you'll know that this is not the case. They can be annoying, but they can also be really tasty. And to those in the desert, a gift from above. What might surprise you, though, is that certain nations take the idea of eating locusts to a grand level, including Israel, who regularly has to deal with locust swarms. They not only eat them, they consider it a religious directive to do so. Because believe it or not, this particular insect is considered kosher, and it's the only insect that's able to have this label based on excerpts from the Torah. Given the rather versatile nature of cooking and insect eating, the people of Israel have come up with a variety of ways to eat locusts, including making full-on culinary dishes to help them get past the fact that they're eating insects at times. It's become such a popular dish that people will ask when there are locusts coming in to eat, according to one chef. There is a big interest. People will pay a fortune. They say, let us know when you're gonna do them. Number 5. Ants. Now, ants are a bit of a tricky insect to discuss, because to the world at large, they can be quite the annoyance, and many people spend their lives squashing ants the moment they see them, rather than thinking, maybe I could eat these. Plus, since they're so small, it may not seem like a logical choice to eat them over other insects, since it would take a lot of them to make a true meal, and that is true in certain contexts. However, what they lack in size, they make up for in nutrients they provide your body. For example, the red ant species is able to provide you with 14 grams of protein, nearly 48 grams of calcium, and a nice hit of iron. All of that in a single species of ant. What's more, you won't get a lot of carbs from them, which is good when trying to survive or eat healthy. While capturing them may be difficult, once you have them locked in, all you have to do is boil them in water. This will not only kill them without damaging their bodies, it'll also get rid of any harmful acids that are within them. Number 4. Termites. Termites are another species of insect that are honestly reviled by humans, mainly because if they're found in the home of a person, it means that damage has been done to said home, and no one wants to deal with that. But despite their natural desire for wood, they're a species of insect that can be tasty to eat and healthy to digest. In fact, the eating of termites is regarded as a worldwide treat in many ways, to the extent that the queen termite is considered a delicacy dish in certain cultures. But why is that? Well, it's because like many insects, termites have a great source of protein within them. But just as important, because they tend to live most of their lives in wood or woodland areas they can burrow into, they don't get infected with parasites too often, which is a concern at times when trying to eat insects. With termites, though, the treat is much less. The main way to eat termites in the eyes of many is to fry them up and get them rather crispy. Number 3. Worms. There's a book in certain school curriculums called How to Eat Fried Worms, a tale of a young man who makes a bet to eat 30 worms within a certain amount of time. But just because it's in a book, well, that doesn't mean it's true in real life. Or does it? Worms are actually simple to digest, and they tend to provide all sorts of good nutrients to your body. They're high in protein and have high levels of iron and amino acids, which help break down food and repair body tissue. They also contain copper, manganese, and zinc. Another surprising fact is that cultures like the one in Venezuela love the earthworms so much that they'll gather them in bulk, gut them, chop them up, and then sell them. That may not seem like too much of a surprise, but the price to get these earthworms is, get this, 3 times the cost of certain other meats. In the Amazon area, the worm is regarded as special because of its high calcium content. Believe it or not, calcium is not abundant in various creatures in the area, save for the worm. Yes, you can eat worms raw, but the only request made by those who have tried them is that you make sure you gut them or squeeze them, because that makes sure you're not eating any of their excrement. Gross, which is definitely something that is not tasty by any stretch of the imagination. Number 2. Woodlice. When you hear the word lice, you're likely thinking of the creature that gets in your hair and causes you to scratch and itch. But there are other types of lice that can be just as annoying, yet still very tasty. Woodlice are a great example, though technically they're not insects. Rather, they're a type of crustacean, believe it or not. This is not a hindrance, rather, it's a benefit. For this means that their composition is not unlike that of shrimp, which is what many who have eaten woodlice have compared them to. They taste so good and so much like shrimp that they've been referred to as land shrimp by some. Arguably the best part about them is they can be very easy to find, for as their name implies, they prefer wood, which means if you go to some overturned trees or even leaves, you're likely to find them. However, not unlike certain other insects, it's important that you boil them before eating, as they can have nematodes that can make you very sick. Number 1. Stink bugs. The stink bug is a creature that most people and animals know to stay away from, because they are a creature that can release a smell that can make anyone turn away. So given that, you would think that these are a creature that you would want to avoid eating, because the taste would likely be similar to that awful smell. But that's actually not the case. They're fine to eat, and after they're cooked, their flavor is fine and has no hint of the rotten smell that most people associate with them. In Mexico, there's an annual festival to celebrate them and eat them in a whole host of ways. I mean, that's proof they must be delicious. There's a whole festival about them. One of the more weird things about eating stink bugs is that you technically won't have a hard time finding them if you're in the right area. Given their reputation to cause a stink, they're known to strut through forest areas and grasslands and such, knowing that no one will likely attack them. Once you catch them, you need to soak them in warm water for about 10 minutes, and then fry them. This will ensure that the stink is not part of your meal. Thanks for watching! What did you think of these insects that are truly known to be tasty? Would you dare to eat any of these insects yourself? Maybe you've eaten some of these already. Do you know of any other tasty insects that should have been on the list? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List before you leave, and I'll see you next time.